this is Chris with Laughter on Water, and today I wanted to go over featured images in WordPress. Images are sort of flaky in WordPress, especially when it comes to making sure they have the correct dimensions. It's very hard to figure out the process. I'm going to show you my process for how I add a featured image to WordPress. So let's get started. Okay, so now I am in a new and fresh install of WordPress, and there are no additional plugins. The only thing I've done is add some sample information, and I'm using WordPress theme 2019. And because I know that each theme has different requirements for its particular featured image, I'm going to research that. I've gone to the 2019 page on WordPress.org, and I've learned that the recommended featured image size is 2000 by 1200 pixels. If you make them a lot larger, you're going to end up wasting a lot of bandwidth. If you make them a lot smaller, they're going to end up looking muddy. So the best cure is to make sure that you use the featured image size that's recommended for your particular theme. Let's get started adding featured images to our WordPress install. I'm going to go to the About page, and I'm going to click Edit Page. And you would think, well, okay, so now I can go over to the Document area here on the right-hand sidebar and click Set Featured Image. And let's go ahead and do that, and I'll show you what happens. I'll click Set Featured Image. I'll go to the Upload Library, and I'll select a file. This time I'm going to select one called Ducks, and I'm going to open that image. And you'll notice that once it's finished uploading, it's extremely large. And as a large image, I need to bring this down to fit the demands of this particular theme. So I'm going to edit the image by clicking Edit Image right here. And you'll notice automatically I'm no longer in the same place. I'm in a new tab. And so now things have changed considerably. I'm no longer in a workflow that will allow me to take this image and bring it back into the WordPress document I was working in. So it's best to have your featured images already set to the correct dimensions before you do this, and that's why I want to show you that. It's not the workflow that you expect. Now that I know that I have a huge image here, I'm going to determine the size that I need. I need it to be 2000 by 1200, so I can't just type that in, because when I do, let's type in 2000. It turns out that in order to keep the correct aspect ratio so the image doesn't look smushed in one dimension or another, it automatically determines that the other ratio should be 1333 pixels. And that's fine for this part of it. So let's click Scale, and you'll notice that it will actually show up correctly here, that the original dimensions now show as 2000 by 1333, even though the dimensions over here are 5000 plus and by 3000 plus. So if I were to try to do the next step over here and crop this and type in the correct aspects for this 2000 by 1200, you'll notice that it's this little tiny part of the thing, and that's because it's working off these old dimensions. So we can't actually do any cropping here. We just have to scale it first and update. You'll notice that once we've done that, it shows correctly here that these are the correct dimensions. And our ducks look pretty good. Let's click Edit Image again. This is the method that you have to use. You click Crop first, the crop button. And then what I usually do is I just bring it to about the dimensions I think I'm going to need. And I look over here and I further fine tune this so that it says 1200. Now once I've got the 2000 by 1200 in my image crop, I'm going to come over here and center this where I would like the image to look. Anything that's not grayed out is part of the image that's going to show. I like that centering. I have to click the crop button again and then click Save and then click Update. So now I have a properly updated picture that's 2000 by 1200, and it's the correct aspect ratio. It'll fit properly into my featured image. I'm going to close this tab here, and what you'll notice is when I come back here, it will actually still show the old one here. So if I were to click this right now, sometimes what happens is it puts in this other image that's not the image you were editing, and that can be problematic. So you'll end up with two copies of the image, one wrong, one right. Instead, I'm going to close my selection dialog box and select the featured image again by clicking that again, and then coming over here, double checking to make sure that I have the correct size, and then select. So now I need to update the document so that the featured image is the correct featured image. Let's view the page. All right, so this is my featured image, and you'll notice that it's kind of grayed out. In 2019, it adds a filter over the top of the image. In this case, I've let the filter be a sort of dark gray. There's no way to get rid of that unless you want to go into the styles and change the styles. It's outside the scope of this particular tutorial. So we're just going to talk about making the featured image fit properly for our particular theme. Let's try another one this time. Let's go to blog. And for the blog page, I'm going to click Edit Page. And I'm going to set the featured image again. Instead of doing this, let's just open up a new media page. I'm going to open this in a new tab. And in this tab, I'm going to add a new, select the file. I'm going to try a hummingbird this time. It's uploading now, as you can see right here. Click that file and edit. So edit the image down here. I'm going to change the dimensions for scaling the image down to 2000. Once again, it says 1333. Just click Scale. Once that's finished, you have to close the image. Open the image back up again. Click Edit Image again once you've determined that it is 2000 by 1333. Click Edit Image again, then click Crop. Change the crop factor. I'm going to move some of this down here. I'm going to fine-tune it on this side by clicking 1200. I like the fact that I can see more up above. I don't want it down below like this because it'll crop off the wings. I'm going to bring it up here. That's a nice crop. I'm going to click the crop button again. Click Save. Of course, I can make any changes here that I want to, including changing the title and the alt text and caption, all of that stuff right there. But for now, I'm just making sure that I've got the correct dimensions on my photo. So close that. And I'm going to close this tab, since I know that everything's correct here. Come back to my original blog that I was editing, set the featured image, select that image, make sure that it is the correct dimensions, and select. Then I update the document so that I can make sure that the featured image does show. Let's view the page. There's my hummingbird photo in the page. So that's how to work with featured images in WordPress. It can be a little bit of a trial and error until you get the workflow down. It's not a precise workflow and it's not what you would expect it to be. But it is what it is for right now. At some point, perhaps in the future, the WordPress workflow for adding featured images will be more intuitive. But for right now, this is the way it works, at least for me. I hope this is something that has been useful for you. I hope you've learned something. If you have, please subscribe and click the like button. Let other people know about this channel. And this is Chris with Laughter on Water. Thanks for visiting.